Hi there, welcome to Heart Smart Home Cooking. I'm Laura Mucon, and throughout the entire month of March, we are bringing you some great recipes from the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Manitoba because March is Nutrition Month. Now, joining me today is Christine Hood. You're a nutritional manager at the Heart and Stroke Foundation, and today we're making weekend waffles, but I want to talk quickly about this recipe pamphlet here. How can people get these?
We have 4 new recipes that we're featuring this month for Nutrition Month, and all 4 recipes will be available on our website, and you can also call our office to receive a copy of those.
Okay, so keep watching because at the end of the show we'll have all that information for you and we'll show you how you can get the recipes. But if you want to just watch right now and maybe just wing it, we are making waffles, but again, they don't have to be just on the weekend.
Right, I mean, weekend waffles are a great tradition, but certainly this recipe would work on any day of the week. And we know that a good heart-healthy way to start everybody's day is with a good breakfast.
Okay, so what is our first step?
Okay, well, this is a really easy recipe, first of all. So making your own recipe of waffles in your own kitchen using your own ingredients is really a healthy way to go. So we're starting off with our dry ingredients, and we're going to be adding in 1 cup of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of whole wheat flour. Now, you could also use 2 cups of whole wheat flour for this recipe, and that would certainly give you even more fiber. But if you're somebody who's used to using only white flour for all of your cooking or baking, the half and half procedure is a good way to start.
Okay.
So we're also adding in 2 tablespoons of sugar, some baking soda, baking powder, and some cinnamon and nutmeg that are going to give a nice flavor to this waffle recipe as well.
Okay. So again, in these recipes throughout the entire month, we're really looking for ways to add in ingredients like whole wheat as opposed to all-purpose,
Right.
and canola oil instead of butter and stuff like that. So why are these foods better for you?
Well, we know that a Heart Smart eating pattern is one that is going to have foods that are higher in fiber, lower in sodium, and that contain healthier fats such as the canola oil that we're going to be cooking with again. So those are things that we want to be doing for all of our meals and snacks.
Okay, so the next step.
Okay, so we've got our dry ingredients going. So our wet ingredients are going to be added next. So if you want to be brave enough to try to crack this egg, I will do this one. Nope. All right, so we got 2 eggs in there.
Okay.
And we have...
We can just do that.
We've got 1 cup of reduced fat milk going in here.
Okay.
And we also have 1 cup of buttermilk, but we're actually, instead of buttermilk, we're going to be using a sour milk. And instead of buttermilk, you can just add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice to a cup of milk, and that will make it a thickened milk, and it's a lot easier. And you know what? It's actually lower in sodium than using the buttermilk. So that's a good direction to go as well. We're also going to be adding in 3 tablespoons of canola oil.
3 tablespoons, okay.
Right, and again, canola oil being a oil that's high in unsaturated fats, which are the heart-healthy types of fats. And so that's why we're going to be cooking with that again today. Good. So do you want to give that a big mix?
Yes. Now, one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was the fact that you know people go out for lunch because it's convenient and dinner, but are people going more for breakfast now for convenience, or what's that statistic like?
Well, interestingly, breakfast is traditionally one of the meals that is most commonly consumed at home. But interesting research has also shown that over the last 5 years, 60% of the increase in restaurant traffic growth has been as a result of the breakfast time. So there are some good choices that you can make in the restaurants and fast foods, but for the most part, when you have an eating pattern that relies heavily on restaurant foods, convenient foods, fast foods, you're going to probably be looking at an intake that's higher of saturated fat, higher of sodium, which can increase your risk of developing heart disease and stroke. So certainly making your own breakfast at home where you're in charge of the ingredients is a good direction to go.
And now you folks at the Heart and Stroke Foundation have been doing your homework and going out and doing research about, comparing restaurants and convenience stores for cost, for sodium, for fat and stuff like that. What have we found with this recipe in our chart?
We did find some interesting information with this one. When it comes to comparing cost, I don't think it's a big surprise that preparing your waffles at home is less expensive than ordering them at a restaurant. But even when you compare them to the convenience toaster-ready type of waffles, our waffles that we make at home are only 1/5 of the cost of that. So certainly less expensive to do that. And when you look at the nutrition comparison, we found that both the restaurant and the convenience versions of the waffles were about 2 to 3 times higher in sodium than our regular waffles were that we made at home. So lots of really great reasons to invest in a waffle maker.
So one thing I was wondering, with those instant toaster waffles being so convenient, why are we encouraging people to not just buy those?
Well, that's a great question. There's a number of reasons. Number one, when you make your own waffles at home, there's certainly the nutritional benefits that we talked about. You can choose ingredients that are higher in fiber and lower in sodium. A second benefit is when you cook at home, you're actually getting the kids, you can get the kids involved, so the kids can learn what it is to make waffles, and that waffles don't just appear out of the freezer. So that's another important reason to get them involved in cooking skills and talking about those important things. And a third benefit, as we talked about before, is actually some potential cost savings as well.
So how am I doing here? Is this
Looking good. I think we're ready to...
Do we want to get all the lumps out, or is it okay if it's a
Yeah,
little?
if there's a couple of lumps, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to get most of them out, but I think that's good what you've got there.
Okay, so we've got our waffle iron is heated up and ready. But if you don't have a waffle iron,
You can. This could be a great pancake batter as well. So you
Okay.
could just make pancakes out of it, and that would work just as well. So our waffle maker has been preheated, so it's ready to go. So you're going to use anywhere between 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of batter in to make your waffle, depending on the size of your waffle maker. So we're going to add a little bit more than that. And there we go. So we're going to just let that sit for a couple minutes, and hopefully
they'll be perfect.
they'll be
waffles.
perfect waffles.
So one thing I love about waffles is dumping a whole bunch of syrup on them. I have a feeling that's not going to go over so well.
Or there could be alternatives, right?
Okay, so we have some beautiful
We do,
fruit.
we do. You know, weekend waffles are a great start to a great nutritious breakfast, but there's opportunity to do so much more. We can add a number of healthy ingredients. So we have some ideas here to show you what you can add to your waffles. Anytime we can add veggies and fruit to our meals is always a good thing. So fruit on waffles is a great idea. Canned, frozen, fresh. So we have some canned peaches that you can use here, or some frozen blueberries. And we also have some pureed fruit. We've cooked up some pears and blueberries ahead of time, put them through the blender, and that's another fruit topping that you can look at for this recipe as well.
You can get really creative by mixing fruits and blending them. And a blender is part of the reason why we want to talk about that, is because that's part of the prize. With the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Manitoba has come up with a new kind of contest this year, and that's one of the prizes. So can you tell us about that?
That's right. We are offering a Heart Smart Home Cooking Prize package this year, and in it is a number of kitchen tools and gadgets, equipment that we're using throughout our Heart Smart Home Cooking segments. So today's contribution to the prize package is actually a blender that you can make this fruit puree in as well.
And keep watching, because at the end of the episode we will have all the information about how you can enter the contest. But let's talk a little bit about the rest of the toppings here, and I think our waffle's done.
Our waffle is done, right? So we have removed it and it's ready to go for receiving some of those great heart-healthy toppings. So we talked about the fruit. Other ideas for something instead of the butter and the sugar and the syrup that we often use is some yogurt. We've got some flavored yogurt in there, which would be nice, as well as some nuts, some pecans, almonds, walnuts. Those are all a nice way to add some toppings to your to your waffles as well. And depending on how you combine it, you could end up with a food with waffles with all 4 of Canada's food guide groups in it as well.
Okay, so how many waffles are we going to get out of this recipe?
Generally, this recipe will make roughly 12 to 14 square waffles. Okay. And if that's more than what your family's going to be consuming, make them all up ahead of time anyways. And then what you can do with the leftover waffles is put them into a resealable plastic bag and freeze them so that you can have your own toaster waffles for another day down the road.
That's a good idea. So this does create sort of a full meal, and if you add a glass of milk and a smoothie with that new blender you have a great meal.
That's right. You could use a smoothie instead of a glass of milk and you'd be good to go.
Okay, well, thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Special thanks to the Manitoba Canola Growers Association and to Cargill for helping bring Heart Smart Home Cooking to viewers across the province. If you would like to get a copy of today's recipe, or if you'd like to enter the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Manitoba's Heart Smart Home Cooking contest, you can click on heartandstroke.mb.ca or phone 949-2000 in Winnipeg, or toll free at 1-888-473-4636.